Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the millennial mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful tri-state area. Welcome to our 119th episode of A Moment of Zen. Almost 3 years on the air, and it's always a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you so much for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z, all over social media. That's Twitter, LinkedIn, and Facebook. And also remember that we're now live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. Of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are streaming 24/7 on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV platform. And you can always find us directly on our YouTube channel that we upload every Sunday at 2 p.m. all of our full episodes on. We have such a great show lined up for you today. Very, very exciting stuff. In our entertainment and pop culture segment brought to you by OGPay.com, we're featuring my awesome friend, iHeart's very own radio DJ, Maxwell. You can catch him on the famous Z100. Today, we're chatting the evolution of radio from AM to podcasts, Maxwell's fascinating career, and how he balances it all. In our Trailblazer segment, brought to you by Bice Cucina right here in Midtown Manhattan, we are joined by Madison Malloy, dear friend of Peter Grimatis's from Bice Cucina. She's also author, speaker, and podcast host. Now, there's no adequate way to describe the way living in New York City feels. The Big Apple casts both shadows and spells, and your experience will depend entirely on you. Today, she's here to chat about the pros and cons of living and moving to New York City. In our influencer segment brought to you by Navé Travel, we're featuring Ava Breeze, a young artist with a clear drive. She's a 16-year-old singer, songwriter, and actress, and of course, influencer. Today, she joins me in studio with her friend, singer, songwriter, and recording artist Edwrds from Long Island. They're here to chat career, disability awareness, and music. Stay tuned for our Trailblazers segment brought to you by Bice Cucina, featuring the awesome Madison Malloy, author, speaker, and podcast host, chatting about pros and cons of living in the city. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Your Home TV.
Hi, this is Kathy Ireland here on A Moment of Zen, brought to you by Your Home TV. We've developed an all-inclusive subscription-free network that you're going to love, whether it's financial freedom, fashion, beauty, health and wellness, wonderful weddings, travel and culture, cooking, entertainment, and short-form documentaries, programming for everyone. Classic films and new shows, including Kathy Ireland Presents American Dreams. We've developed this network just for you. Please check out yourhometv.com.
Tune in to A Moment of Zen, Saturday nights from 9 to 10 p.m. on WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes in our Trailblazers segment brought to us by Bice Cucina. Today we're joined by my dear friend Madison Malloy, author, speaker, and podcast host. Now, from minimizing financial risks on Wall Street to crafting risque jokes for crowds in New York City's most prominent comedy clubs, Madison's journey through adulthood has been one for the books, to say the least. Well, at least one book specifically. Time to lighten the F up. It's a self-help guide with a side of humor. Today, we're chatting about the pros and cons of living and moving to New York City. Now, of course, we all know that there's no adequate way to describe the way living in New York City feels. In fact, the Big Apple casts both shadows and spells, and your experience will truly depend entirely on pretty much you. There's no denying that living in the Big Apple is an extraordinary feat, any way you slice it. Now, the city tempts people in hordes, and millions of residents are willing to overlook the inevitable cons of life in New York City because the pros are too hard to resist. New York City is home to 65 Fortune 500 companies, the second highest concentration of Fortune 500 companies in the world. That's outside of Tokyo. Welcoming now to the show to chop it up and chat New York City and, of course, summer in the city is the stunning Madison Malloy. So nice to have you in studio, my beautiful friend.
I'm so excited to be here. I love this topic, too, because I was somebody who left the city, and now I'm back.
And now you're back. So, okay, let's dive right in. So where are you from originally, and what brings you back to New York City?
So originally from Colorado, came here for my first job on Wall Street in summer of 2005 and loved it. Never thought I would leave. And COVID hit and it became almost unlivable. So I escaped back. I put stuff in a storage unit and went back to Colorado where I grew up and been kind of back and forth. And now I've come back, but just for 5.5 months to avoid the taxes.
Oh, very smart. Only you, my darling Madison, would figure out that staying short of that 6-month mark, which brings us right about till December, is going to avoid those taxes.
Yep.
Only you. Now, let's chat the pros of living in New York City first, outside of this 6-month mark tax benefit. New York City is truly the land of opportunity. So if you can make it here, as you know, you can make it anywhere. New York City is where dreamers go to make their dreams come true. What are your thoughts on this?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the opportunities and the connections are endless, right? There's so many industries in here where you can thrive and grow. And I think that's why people come here and live in very dire conditions to have an opportunity to make it big, whether it's Broadway or Wall Street or whatever they choose to do. So it's an amazing place for that, but it does come with a lot of downsides too. But the upside is the unlimited career potential. But like anything, it's all what you make of it.
Of course, all what you make of it. And when you say the dire conditions, you're talking about living in a 300 square foot apartment and where you're paying, I don't know, maybe $2,000 a month for that. It's literally a broom closet. And we've all done it. We've all done it. Now, in my experience, this is true in two ways in terms of, the Big Apple allows you to pave your dreams and really come full circle into your own. Now, if you're an entrepreneur, there's truly no better place than New York City to try and make it big, essentially. The opportunities and, to your point, the networking connections you can make living in the city are really hard to beat. Career-wise, the city has the biggest names in tech, in marketing, in apparel, journalism, sports, you name it. It goes on and on. So if you can't follow your dreams yet, there's definitely a job for you. But what I would say in New York City, I highly suggest having a gig lined up before moving to the city. Otherwise, you won't be setting yourself up for success per se, and securing a job and keeping it is going to require a lot of effort, more effort than it does in small cities, which is why New Yorkers are often considered workaholics. We are workaholics. Bringing me to number 2, New York City is a safe place to live for workaholics. Now, it may surprise you to learn that living in New York City is not actually unsafe. We're going to get to it in just a second by you piping in here. But as most folks assume, I would say it's hard to blame anyone for thinking that life in New York City could be dangerous. With their 8.5 million residents, I think the city is the most populous city in America at this point. And things are bound to happen when you have this many people. What has your experience been so far when it comes to safety?
So when I was here a long time ago, I thought it was this safest big city. I would never have walked around Denver at night by myself, but I had no problem doing it in New York. COVID changed things a little bit, actually a lot. So my view is a little bit different. I won't jump on a subway if it's past 10 o'clock. Before, I would. I didn't even think about it. I never carried pepper spray, but now I've got that.
I do. Yeah. But I would do that regardless of where I am.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's, you just know the areas to kind of avoid, but you can't live your life in fear. So you got to just step into faith and don't manifest it, really.
Wise words of an entrepreneur. You can't live your life in fear. You have to manifest it. And again, if you're going to a big city, I don't care if it's New York City, Chicago, California, anywhere, you carry pepper spray, you equip yourself. If you know that you're going to be out late at night, you're going to make sure that you mitigate the dangers around you by preparing yourself. Now, relative to its size, New York City is considered one of the top 5 safest, largest cities in America, actually and statistically, which is mind-boggling to me. But
Wow.
but after living in New York City for almost 16 years at this point, I can honestly say that I've never felt unsafe in the city for the most part. And that's mostly because I've never really been alone on the streets. I mean, you can go into Times Square at any point in time, and there's always security around and someone around. So for the most part, New York City is safe. But to your point, I cut it off after 10, 11 o'clock at night. Like anywhere, I wouldn't ride the subway alone as a woman. Now, New York City is home to a whopping 83 museums, including the fifth largest museum in the world, which is the Metropolitan Museum of Art, otherwise known as the Met. And it's also home to one of the most gorgeous libraries in the world, the New York Public Library, which is also the third largest library in the world. Madison, why are cultural experiences and a very accessible art scene important to you?
Well, I think it's important to, embrace like cultures and learn about history and appreciate the arts and what they are. I don't attend many art museums. I got to be honest with you. I feel after you just dropped that statistic, I need to get my butt to more of them.
You do.
I think I've walked into the MoMA to use the bathroom. Somehow I got in and
Oh my God, I love you. Stop it right now. You need to get your butt to the MoMA for the actual art. What are you doing, girl?
I know. And I appreciate art. It's great. I was a big fan of Thomas Kincaid. I know he's not super famous, but I felt like I could get lost in his paintings, and I will look at his paintings and be like, that's the type of house I want to build one day.
Well, listen. Okay, fine. So you're not the museum girl. Question out the door. What
History
about
museum, but not art museum.
Okay, let's go to networking and social scene. So in fact, I'm going to punt one that you already are at the forefront. New York City is home to more billionaires than anywhere else in the world. It speaks your language. So before being surpassed by Beijing not long ago, we are in fact home to more billionaires than anywhere else. And since everyone is hustling hard to get their piece of the pie, you will make some serious connections while living in New York City, without a doubt. How important is networking and socializing for you and for your business?
Well, they always say your network is your net worth. And it is so important who you surround yourself with is the type of life you're going to have. So you want to surround yourself with people that are doing amazing things if that's what you aim to do. So I didn't know there were so many billionaires here, though. I feel like we need to go out more so we can find me one of them.
You are so funny. We will go. I will take you. You know what? In fact, Bice Cucina has a lot of billionaires that hang out there.
Do they? Well, Peter has failed to introduce me to any of them, so we'll have to speak with him.
That's because he wants to keep you close to the ecosystem. If he gives you away too soon, then you're not going to go back.
This is true. Maybe. We'll see. We'll have to ask him.
Oh, we'll have to ask him. Well, since this segment is sponsored by Bice Cucina, and we're talking about networking and socializing, and we know that Peter is quite the celebrity himself, the food in New York City is incredible. We can't talk about the pros of moving to New York City without mentioning the food, Madison. So, oh my goodness, if there's one thing I love most about living in this city, it's the incredible food scene. I'm such a foodie. I'm Greek by nature, so I eat with my eyes. Bice Cucina, top favorite Italian restaurant. What do you say to this?
Absolutely. Their octopus is unbelievable. But you were talking about cuisines in New York. It's most unbelievable food. Bice is my favorite Italian restaurant for sure. But what I also love about having a city with unlimited amazing cuisine is that everybody's walking everywhere, so you don't put on the pounds as fast.
That's so true. You leave a meal, and instead of like having the Uber meet you at the door, you're like, let's just walk 30 minutes because I don't feel good to get in a car, right? And you do it. You walk, and then 30 turns into an hour, and then you've walked that meal off. And that's the beauty of living in New York City. That's why everybody in the city is kind of like looking good these days. Everyone has like a really hot body, like va-va-va-voom. And they're all like doing their makeup, and men are taking care of themselves. And the scene in New York City is like next to none. Like it's like even Dubai. Dubai is like hot right now, but like these are the cities that make it happen. There's a lot of wealth here, and there's a lot of richness here. At the same time, there's a lot of culture, and people are proud regardless of how much money they have in their pocket. Now let's talk about the cons. Okay, we have 3 minutes left. I went down to the wire here. So honestly, the rent is damn high, let's be honest. Living in New York City is not realistic for a lot of people because of the astronomical cost of housing. And New York City is not even in the same time zone as affordable.
Yeah.
What are your tips here to get affordable?
Well, I was just having this conversation with somebody last night. I said, in order to really live a good, healthy life in New York City, you got to make at least $5 million a year. So, yeah, the costs are absolutely crazy, but you just have to make sure it's worth it. What are you making? Make sure you're not spending all your income just on living, because you need to save to be able to escape the rat race, the matrix, whatever the heck we're living in. But yeah, the cons are that is absolutely expensive. I mean, people spend like $30,000+ to send their kid to kindergarten.
Oh my God!
Why don't you pay me $30,000?
You just called me out. Alexa went to American preschools, to IPS, International Preschools, on 86th Street. Dude, this thing cost me like $20,000 a year. I was like, what am I doing? And then I moved to Jersey. I was like, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, public school's free. I went to public school. It's great, but I can't believe that people are spending that. But you know what? Good for them. But I also did hear that most people would determine where their child is going to go to school in New York City based on other children that are there because they use it to network.
Actually, that's so true, too. Let me tell you about the PTA at some of these schools. Okay, well, that's a different conversation. Now, of course, you know, if you look at the overall view, New York City is the 7th most expensive city in the world. And when you go one step further, you would have to admit that New Yorkers are blunt. They don't sugarcoat anything. We're very direct because we don't waste time. You know, you can tell this by how fast we walk everywhere, right?
Yeah.
New Yorkers weren't raised by Southern mothers. Forget manners, enter brevity. I mean, they have places to be and they have people to see. So they are very fast paced. Now, if you live in New York City, prepared to be labeled as a workaholic, there's no way around this. New York City is a hard working city. 40-hour work weeks. That sounds like a distant dream. What kind of hours do you work? I know I hover at least 80.
Yeah, I don't even know that number. I just feel like I actually am on a path where I love what I do, and so I feel like I'm kind of always working, but it doesn't feel like work.
Because you love what you do.
Yeah, I'm not going into a corporate office clocking my hours anymore. Those days are done. So I just feel like I'm always somehow working with all my different stuff going around. But yeah, it is a place where people are consistently working because they have to, because it's so expensive.
But okay, but at the same time, it's not like you turn it off and you're like, I'm just going to turn it off for the next couple of days. Like, you can't afford to do that. You have a fast-paced life. You have a business. You have entities. You have people. You have brands. You're an author. You're a public figure. You work. And even if it doesn't feel like work, it's still hours that you're mentally putting in towards a goal that has nothing to do with just you sitting at home and kicking your legs up. But because you're so intertwined with your passion, and your passion is your work, it kind of meshes into one. Let me tell you, if you break it down, you're probably hovering upwards of 80 hours between posts, between social media, between research, between reaching out to brands and whatnot. So you work it. It's not like you put it down and you're like, okay, 5 o'clock, time's up, no more work. That's never going to happen.
Well, I do know how to do a balance, which is good. So if I need to take time, like on weekends, to just do nothing, you know, you're always kind of checking in. I will do that because I think that life is a balance. And in order to be so great at what you do, you've got to recharge your batteries. So that is so important. You can't just run yourself ragged all the time.
That's great advice. That's why we have you. That's why we keep you around, Maddie, because you just kind of bring the calmness here. Because even on the weekends, dude, I'm working. But yes, the weekends should be sacred space. Even God rests on Sunday. Exactly. Now, when can we expect your next book to be released?
It'll be either late this summer or early fall. And I'm very excited. It's a fictional book series. I can't say too much about it right now, but I will be back, hopefully, if Zen will have me.
I will have you.
Talk about the book and the movement behind the book, the fictional series. So the first 2 books are coming out at that point. So I'm very excited. And then I'm going to be doing another personal development book as well in the future. So look out for that. But in the meantime, purchase Time to Lighten the F Up.
Amazing. Okay. Madison, that was incredible. Thank you so much for coming on. That's the end. But
thank you.
It has been a pleasure chatting with you, and you are so full of insight, and you're funny.
Oh, well, thanks. I try.
Guys, you definitely have to check out the incredible Madison Malloy. Now, listen, moving to New York City is both a fascinating and at times overwhelming endeavor. So give yourself some grace while you work out the details. If hopefully I found if I find, and I will say this, a fascinating article that covers the best time to New York City, I will post it directly onto my 24-hour story. I haven't found one yet, but I'm telling you, neighborhood determines how much you pay for rent, how far you need to walk to your favorite spots, how long you commute. All of this is part and parcel. With average rents clocking in at $3,000 per month, I can't stress the importance of getting a feel for what your daily life will actually look like before you move to the city. So come and explore. The summertime is a great time to do that. That was Madison Malloy, author, producer, podcast host, public speaker. You can check her out at Real Madison Malloy, or you can head directly to madisonmalloy.com. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our entertainment and pop culture segment, brought to you by OGPay.com, we're featuring my awesome friend, iHeart's very own radio DJ, Maxwell. Now, you can catch Maxwell on our famous Z100 in New York weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m., hosting the Maxwell and Crystal Show. Maxwell is also a member of the iHeartRadio National Platform Digital Content Team as a contributing host, conducting interviews with stars like Ed Sheeran, Lady Gaga, Harry Styles, BTS. That's just to name a few. He's a hybrid radio personality and pop culture correspondent. And of course, Maxwell has the unique ability to extract personal truths from the most celebrated artists in the music and entertainment industry. Now, we all know that radio has come such a long way since its inception, evolving alongside technological advancements and societal changes. From the early days of AM broadcasts to the emergence of digital platforms and podcasts, the medium has continually adapted to meet the demands of an ever-changing audience. And as technologies progressed, radio underwent a significant transformation with the advent of FM, what we call frequency modulation broadcasting. Now, FM radio offered improved sound quality and a wider range of frequencies, allowing for this clear reception and much better coverage. This shift gave rise to specifically and specialized music formats and genre-specific stations, catering to specific interests and targeting what we call niche audiences. And FM radio became a powerful medium for showcasing music and launching careers, shaping popular culture. Today, we're chatting the evolution of radio from AM to podcasts, Maxwell's fascinating career, and how he balances it all. Welcoming now to the show is the awesome Maxwell. Welcome, superstar.
Zen. Thank you. You can thank ChatGPT for that little bio right there.
Exactly.
No.
This incredible story of when you talk about we're still here on radio after all these years. When you look at these digital formats, it's to me, it's fascinating how hosts like yourself, how hosts like myself have been able to make it sexy again. I would like to start from the beginning. How did you get started in the radio industry? Can you tell us more about your journey to becoming a famous DJ on iHeart Z100?
Oh, I can totally do that. I started in college. I played college sports, which was really kind of interesting. I didn't really have those full aspirations of being a radio guy when I was in high school or college until I started to realize when I was playing college football that a lot of the guys on my team were a lot bigger than I was, and that the NFL wasn't going to come looking for like a short little guy like me anytime soon. So I always have felt comfortable in front of crowds. My mom and dad always told me I was that kid that was, performing at family get-togethers and all that good stuff. And I kind of thought, let me lean in on this my senior year of college. And I graduated with a communications degree. So it kind of felt natural, just kind of doing that type of a thing. But also, I loved seeing that my words and what I could do as a DJ behind turntables, or even just as an MC, a host for a party. I love to see how people moved and how I could affect the mood of a room. And I said, yeah, this is going to be my thing. So started in radio in Central California, and I made my way from Central California to New Orleans for a little bit. I lived in Lafayette, Louisiana for a while. Then shot up to work at WNCI in Columbus, Ohio, one of our heritage top 40 radio stations within iHeart. I worked in Philadelphia at Q102 in Philly, and that was just where I started to smell New York, the good and the bad smells of it.
Yeah, literally.
Literally. But I knew that was where I wanted to be. Z100 had always been that iconic family, that iconic logo that, from the top of the Empire State Building. I knew I wanted to be a part of that team. And I was blessed enough to make my way to Z100
and here you are today.
Here we are.
Now, tell us, what sets your show apart from others? I mean, on the airwaves, there's a lot of great shows that iHeart has. I mean, we have 850 really powerful radio stations across the country, if not more. But how do you maintain your unique style and keep listeners so engaged?
I think really what it is, it's the balance between myself and my co-host, Crystal Rosas. We are ourselves, and I think that there's something to be said about being truly authentic from our vantage point. Listeners can smell if you're lying to them, and it's way too difficult to keep up a lie than to just be who you are.
Authentic.
Yeah, so there's
Crystal
that.
Rosas is amazing. We had drinks at Bice
Right?
Cucina last week, or maybe 2 weeks ago. I was with Lala and Lulu as well. You missed a great party, by the way.
Yeah, dang. All right.
We were just doing it up big before the air.
But the authenticity, right, is like what it
She's
is.
amazing.
Yes.
Amazing.
So that's what's special about our show, is we get to do that. We get to be the companions between the listeners' favorite songs that we play on Z100. I mean, we're playing the biggest records on the planet. So that's special. And then when we get the opportunity to talk to artists, we're able to, just truly have fun, enticing, and engaging conversations with some of the biggest names on the planet. I mean, I'll just, full transparency, I was a little tardy to come in here today because we had Anita, who is just one of the biggest global superstars on
Huge.
Earth, sitting there sharing so many just special, fun stories. I don't want to give away too much of our interview, but it's just because people feel comfortable because we're just being ourselves. And I think that that's something that sets us apart.
And you have that it factor. You walk into
That's
a
right.
room and you're just charismatic. Now, let's shift a little bit. In recent years, the integration of radio with social media and these digital platforms has really brought about this like new era of interaction and engagement, right? Like
Yeah,
radio
for sure.
DJs and personalities now connect with their audiences beyond the airwaves, leveraging social media platforms to really foster the sense of what I like to call a community and
Yeah.
provide the additional content like
that
behind
was our
the
community
scenes.
chiming in right there. With the
That's right.
sound.
They're like, we're here.
We're
The
here.
listeners can participate in live chats now. They could request songs and engage in discussions, creating this more immersive and interactive radio experience. How do you specifically like to connect with your listeners outside the radio? Do you engage with them through social media or other platforms outside of your show?
Yeah, I mean, all of those. It started for me when I was in Columbus, Ohio. When I worked, it was right around 2006, 2007, 2008, when I started to really see the evolution of social media. That was when Twitter was first happening. That was the early stages of YouTube. And I remember being at that radio station thinking to myself and creating content that wasn't just for the radio. I remember having a conversation with my program director at that moment in time saying, I want to be Googleable. And
So
he was
true.
like, well, yeah, you have to be. And
He's like, what's that?
yeah, that was exactly the conversation. He's like, what are you talking about, dude? And I said, well, these are moments where when artists start to come into the studio, I want to not just sit, with a microphone and have a conversation with Katy Perry. At the time, Dance Dance Revolution was hot in the video game space. So I was like, what if we set up a video camera and I'm playing Dance Dance Revolution with Katy Perry, the very beginning stages of her career, and we put that on YouTube? And he was like, dude, yeah, let's try those things. So it was a matter of just utilizing all these resources to be
Brilliant.
relevant in all the different spaces. And, you know, what I didn't realize at the time that I do now, you know, moving some 14, 15 years later, whatever it is that I was formulating those early stages of what radio is now. It is
like
exactly
the digitalization of radio.
100%, right?
Similar story when I got to OR about 3 years ago. They were like, digitalizing radio. What are you talking about? How do you do that? And I said, well, because all your listeners are not just driving.
Yes.
They're on their phone. They're holding the device in their hand, and they could listen to you from anywhere in the world. And it was the hardest concept for some of the older, marketers, even in general, when you're speaking to station managers or programmers to get their head around it. But they've done a great job here at WOR. Everyone gets it now because we push social media so much. Now, the digital revolution, to your point, really brought about this other pivotal moment in radio's evolution, right? The emergence, if you're going to go back on the timeline of internet radio and streaming services, really offered this unprecedented accessibility and customization, very much similar to how right now it's basically offering, on social media platform, a gateway for the younger Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Like, this is where they used to be with the internet radio, right?
Yes.
Now,
You're speaking my language.
Okay, so here we go. Listeners now, I've taken you back in time. We're now able to tune into their favorite stations from anywhere in the world, opening up a world of diverse programming options, right? Similar to what the social media is doing for our generation. And then furthermore, the rise of podcasting introduced an entirely new way of consuming audio content, right? And podcasts allow people to explore the vast range of topics from true crime to comedy on demand at their convenience, which then when you take this show, it turns into a podcast, a digital podcast that you could download, and we trend #1 in edutainment for a reason. Now, I'm going somewhere with this. So radio has evolved significantly with the rise of streaming platforms and podcasts. How have you adapted to these changes, and how do you see the future of radio broadcasting and specifically podcasting?
It's allowing a free-form conversation with talent and personalities. It's allowing for more in-depth conversations. That's where I see, the evolution going, especially for those consumers. What I create on the airwaves of Z100 are little sound bites. We're not talking for very long on our show, but what I'm hoping to do is build that connection that will then allow me to, on a podcast platform, dive into a little bit more of my personality, into whatever it is what the conversation is, and to bring those listeners who are listening to Crystal and I on Z100 to more of who I am, that I'm not able to really fully divulge in between the newest Lady Gaga and Taylor Swift record, and I think that that's exactly what podcasting does. It allows for people to, dive deeper into their true passions, and it allows those fans on whatever other platform those artists are. As we see a lot of people podcasting, they're actors, they're entertainers, they're athletes that, an NFL star doesn't get the opportunity, or an NBA star doesn't get the opportunity while they're on the court to talk about their love for Pokemon cards. But that's who they are. And through the podcasting platform, it allows them to really, explore that, that part of their personality. And it shows, how their fans are really coming to them for that compelling content, that authenticity, again, like we just said minutes ago, of that particular entertainer that is that's connecting. And it's just something that's going to continue to grow and grow as people find ways to express their passions and ways to express and tell their stories. And that's why I think that the future of this is going, it's branching out, it's utilizing one platform to branch out into others and to be more Googleable, like I said.
Be more Googleable. Yeah. It's leveraging all of these various platforms and allowing people to be able to access your show at any given point in time that they want, because it's all about on-demand and accessibility. OTT, OTA, YouTube, social media are so important for branding and for brand recognition, because
awareness, whatever. If somebody finds me first on a podcast and they circle back and they hear a funny quip or something that I say in between a Harry Styles song, and they just so happen to love Harry Styles, that's going to help keep them with me on the radio station.
You have a loyal listener.
There you go.
So how do you prepare for your radio shows? Because you do come prepared and you know all
Yeah.
the facts about everyone you're interviewing. You remind me of, similar to my character, like I need to really be on top of, my whole process here. Do you have a specific routine to ensure you deliver this high quality content every time?
What I really love to do, especially when it comes to, let's say, show prep, is I just love to cruise, social media and entertainment based websites, and really just kind of be dialed into pop culture on the various platforms that we have to go out and to do a search. When it comes to artist interviews, I'm not going to try to give away too many of my secrets because, I want to keep some of these gems, you know what I'm saying? But
In the vault.
yeah, but what it really comes down to is I don't ask too many questions more than it is just listening. If I'm with whatever artist it is, I might take a couple of little bullet points to what they're either promoting at the time or what they have done recently or something that really means something special to them. And I'll maybe ask one or two questions. And then it's all about, from my vantage point at least, is listening.
The floodgates open.
The floodgates open. And if I'm just listening and I'm following the conversation, like we're just having a conversation here, then
That's like the DJ hack. Just
Yeah.
3 floodgates
There it
open.
is.
Sit back and relax.
sit back and relax. It makes my job that much easier. It makes that person who is the global superstar across from me feel that much more comfortable because they're not being bombarded with a barrage of bullet point
Yeah.
questions that they're running through the promotion because they've been doing this for, literally 8 hours during that day.
With 10 more
With 10 more to
radio
go.
DJs.
Yeah.
Now, are there any artists or bands that you haven't had the chance to interview or feature on your show yet, but would love to?
Jay-Z, bro.
Oh,
If you're
really?
watching Jay-Z, Hove, holla at me, man. You know what I mean? No, but all jokes aside, I would love to have a conversation with some of these icons. I've been blessed enough to, especially within the top 40 world, to talk to some of the biggest of the big.
Yeah, you're-
the Gagas, like I said, the Ed Sheerans, the BTSs, the Taylor Swifts.
Oh, you're up there. You're
yeah,
up there.
so I'm not trying to name drop or nothing.
You've got a
but-
VIP list. Like no one's competing with Maxwell. Maxwell's got his own house because Maxwell's got his own house for
There
a
it
reason.
goes. Just wipe your feet before you step in.
Yes,
That's what I say.
yes. Yeah, and it's not. It's like it's like the different houses. It's the one that made out of wood. No, that's not the one that Maxwell's in. Not the one made out of. It's stone. Your house is made out of stone, Maxwell. Now, what's your favorite part of being a radio DJ?
I really love the connection. That's what whether it's with an artist or it's with a listener. I love that I get to connect with the folks, with the people who are listening on the other side of the speaker. It could be someone calling in to share some good news with us on the radio. The fact that they're choosing, my show to do that and to broadcast that to the world. It's all about that. It's all about creating that instant bond, that shout out. That if you hear me say hi to you on the radio, that still gives you little goosies, you're telling me the butterflies flutter. Because I still get that same feeling when I reach out to friends and I hear somebody just shout me out on the radio. It's that connection. It's that one-on-one. And that's what I think that's really special still about radio is that's something that we can provide. That's a thing that I can provide that no other streaming platform truly can, is that one-on-one camaraderie, that connection that, I'm your buddy between your favorite songs, like I said before.
Oh, you're everybody's buddy. What is your secret to balancing this insane schedule? I mean, you're everywhere, and you're. I never see you sitting still, other than when you're behind your microphone.
A lot of alarms on the phone. A lot of reminders. I do make sure I get my sleep. That's one thing that I am pretty adamant about. But yeah, it's just a matter of. And delegating, that's another thing. You know what I mean? Delegating certain responsibilities to an intern, to someone within my team who I can fully trust to get, some of those little things done and knowing that they can get that stuff done while I can go out and do, another project. And it's just all about ticking things off of a checklist. I'm pretty good at writing things down and saying, all right, I got that done. All right, I got that done. It's just being diligent with, making sure that I'm very
preaching to the
task-oriented.
choir. This is my life. I live
Yep.
in a slot. Everything is in a slot. But the other day, my husband's like, "You even put sex on a slot. What's wrong with you?" I was like, "Do you want it or not?"
For real.
Like, what do you?
Because I could erase that.
Exactly. I could just press delete. And he was like, "No, leave it." I was like, "At least you know." So I get it. Okay, I
Yep.
get it. Well, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you.
Same. This is like the coolest thing because I love when I get to have these conversations with like-minded people within this world and folks that are really understanding that it's an evolution, it's a growth. And, like some of those early days, how I recognize that this was going to become commonplace for us. It really set me up to be in this position now that if I was waiting, to be told to do some of these things, to think about other types of content creation and how to bring that to the airwaves and why that was important, I wouldn't be sitting in the position that I am. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
100%.
So that's what I really love about, when we are passing through the halls and we kind of do that little, yeah, you see what's going on? Yep, because we get it, we understand it. And I hope that others that are in my position coming up and growing, look to you or I or Crystal or some of the other amazing entertainers that are part of radio now.
You are 100% on it. And I say this to people all the time. You can go knock on every single door out there and maybe nobody will open. So you know what? You go and you build a door and you let yourself in. And that's what you did. You build a door.
Yeah.
You build a door, and the very door that you build, that you stepped into your graces, is now what's happening in the evolution of radio. And that's why I chose you for this specific topic, because you have not just evolved with radio, you have made radio evolve. There's a big difference. And I take my hat off to you, because you're doing your homework, you're doing your job, and it's not just about speaking into a microphone. It's about that connectivity with your fans, with the audience, but even with other hosts and with the people that we work with, and loving, getting up every day and knowing that you're going to touch even one or two lives. It's like you're everybody's therapist.
Thank you. No, thank you for that. That means the world to hear, because there are moments in time where you forget about it, because we might be just in a studio with no windows and you don't really get to see that outside impact. But it's those moments that you do get to step outside and you meet a listener, or that person calls in to, like I said, to connect, to share that little tiny moment. You're like, okay, boom, there we go. That's why we're doing it.
Well, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you. This is so awesome.
All right, guys, you definitely have to check out the awesome Maxwell. That was our entertainment and pop culture segment, brought to you by OGPay.com. My awesome friend, iHeart's very own Maxwell. Definitely check him out. His conversational style, and more importantly, interview style, coupled with the demeanor of a veteran journalist, creates a genuine exchange that both informs and entertains audiences everywhere. Crystal Rosas is amazing. Do check them out on Z100 every single day. You can catch them. Check them out on the gram, in Maxwell's house, and definitely check out Maxwell on Twitter at Maxwell's house. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Navé, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Navé makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Navé, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Navé Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Navé guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Navé, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's Navé, Nave.travel.
Welcome back, beautiful tri-state area. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up in just a few minutes, we have our influencer segment brought to you by Navé Travel, and we're featuring Ava Breeze, a young artist with a clear drive. She's a 16-year-old singer, actress, and influencer. Now, y'all know my disability awareness advocacy efforts, while Ava is also an advocate herself for children with special needs. Her campaign, Ava's Advocacy Army, is in honor of her sister, whose undiagnosed disease closely aligns with what they call Angelman's syndrome. Now, Angelman syndrome is a genetic disorder causing delayed developmental problems with speech imbalance, intellectual disability, and sometimes seizures. People with Angelman syndrome often smile and laugh frequently and have overly happy, excitable personalities. Today, she joins me in studio to chat career and disability awareness. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute delight to be here.
Absolutely. You are so special and right here from the tri-state area. You are one of our featured guests that we actually featured last year. Very ambitious. Now, before we chat music, I know that you are a huge advocate for anti-bullying. What is the mission behind Ava's Advocacy Army?
So, my little sister got bullied when I was little, and how are you going to bully someone that can't stand up for themselves at all? So, my sister, she can't walk, she can't talk, she can't eat by herself. We have to do all of that for her. And just hearing the ignorance in all of those name callings and just not knowing any better, my mission is to teach people that, oh, just because someone's different, you could still play with them on the playground. Like, there's so much more to be said for people who can't do things for themselves, because they still have a personality. Like, I communicate with my sister every single day for what she wants to watch for TV, what she wants to eat. Like, there's ways that I can connect with someone, and so many people don't give others a chance. So Ava's Advocacy Army was really meant to give a chance for everyone and educate people on disabilities and rare disease, and I hope I'm really accomplishing my mission by sharing my story. At 16
years old, you have accomplished so much. I'm so proud of you, and clearly it all starts from a good family. So you got to thank mom and dad for a great upbringing. Now, please tell us a little bit more about yourself.
So I make my own original music. I came out with a bunch of singles this year, and I even made a remake of a hit 80s song. So I've really been rolling with music, and I really love this path of songwriting and really connecting with lyrics and putting it with beats and tracks and making something that I'm truly proud of.
You are incredible. Okay, so you're joined right now in studio by a special guest, singer, songwriter, and producer, Edwrds. Edwrds without the A. Now, you were born Jake E. Lee.
Yes, ma'am.
Edwrds without the A was, you were raised, of course, you give the name given to you, and I want to get to how the name came to be in just a bit, but you were raised in the suburbs of New York City, specifically Long Island. You got into music through years as a competitive dancer, often freestyling with friends backstage, interestingly enough. And back in 2017, you took on the moniker Edwrds without the A. Without the A. Now, how did you meet Ava, and what brings you in studio today?
Yeah, so actually we have like this big group chat, and we noticed that we were all from New York and like the tri-state area. So we wanted to make a little, group chat, and from there, it's just been helping each other out.
Well, I'm glad you're here to support Ava. Ava, tell me about your new song, Who Are You, that's currently now streaming.
So Who Are You is a remake of my own original, not a remake, but a remix. So what I did when I made the original song, I thought it would translate really, really well in the trans space. So what I did is I partnered with a mixer, Dark Intensity, and we did that collab to make this remix of Who Are You. And just the beats and how it flows and the message of the song really asking that question, who are you? Who are you at the end of the day? In that space, it comes across really cool, really melodic. The beats mix and mesh with each other, and I'm really happy with how it turned out.
The first thought that came to my mind when I heard it was Evanescence. You have this this ethereal sound to your voice. It's great. Now, how did you get started in the entertainment and music industry?
So I started when I was really, really, really little. I remember I looked up at the TV one day and I was just like, I want to be one of them. And my mom was just like, oh no, your talent's going to be very expensive. So I ended up getting a manager, and I started off with acting. And I didn't realize I could switch over to music, but I ended up doing that at the beginning of COVID because I was missing a creative outlet, and I've always been called the songbird in my household. I've always loved to sing, I've always loved to make music, but I never thought to write anything down. So that time period gave me an opportunity to write down the lyrics that I was just playing over and over in my head, and then I was just like, wait, there's something here. Like, I love listening to music and playing with music and discovering new artists. I could do this. Like, I could be an artist. So that's when my first original single, Girls of Summer, was made. And after I played around with the process, I saw what it was like to put lyrics to a backing track, connect with other mixers and producers. I fell in love with this part of the industry, and I never looked back. And here I am with almost an album out.
Here you are. Now, you both write, and that's a fantastic story. I mean, it was for barely 17 years old. You've accomplished a ton. Now, both Ava and Edwrds, you write and produce your own music. Where do you draw your inspiration for a song, and how does it come together? Edwrds, we'll start with you.
Yeah, so for me, I like to take it from all the feelings of life. I feel like often as people, we don't want to dive into our darker emotions, the sadness, the depression of it. But being an advocate for mental health, I like to remind people without the darkness, we would never know how beautiful the happy moments can be. So, I like to pull a lot from there, as well as, just the people who've inspired me in my life, from the artists I look up to and my family and friends, and just living. So that's me. What about you?
I have a very similar response. So I draw my music from everything around me. I am having a sunny day, I'm going to write something about it. It might not be a full song, but it'll be a group of lyrics that I could put into other songs. If I'm having a really bad day where I'm really into myself, I'm going to write about that, and I'm going to tell a story about what it felt like in that moment to show other people that it's okay.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
you're
awesome.
living your true self. You're living in the moment, and you're writing about it, which is incredible because that makes you emotionally available, and then you can relate, and you can take your emotions, turn them into words, and then turn the negative into a positive. So I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I feel
Now-
like as artists, like we really, when we get to write music, it helps us be more self-expression. You can communicate better with others and yourself and know what's
For
going on
sure,
in your
it's
mind.
completely healing.
is.
That's why even if you go to therapy, they tell you to get a journal and write your thoughts down in a book.
It really be therapy.
Yeah.
Exactly. So music is therapy. Now, what are your goals and where do you hope to see your career take you? Ava, we'll start with you.
So my goals, obviously, my favorite part about being an artist is definitely performing on stage, because I feel like I'm sharing such an intimate part of myself with an audience. The part that I'm looking forward to the most is definitely being able to connect with people and share that vulnerability with an audience. And I want to learn their stories too. Like, I want to learn what my audience likes about my music so it can inspire me to make more. Like, I truly want to create a space where everyone is family and everyone just comes from such a place of love. And if I ever get there, and if my ultimate dream is to have my audience sing back with me, I really want to develop that connection with them. And if I ever get to the point where that happens, I will be the happiest artist in the world, let me tell you.
Well, that's great
Beautiful.
that you long for that connectivity. Edwrds, what about you? What are your goals and where do you see your career take you?
Yeah, it's been a big thought of mine. I recently turned 21, so that was a very
Ooh, that's a
into
big
the next
that's a
chapter.
big birthday.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, I've been touring for the last 5-6 years, and I've wanted to experiment, showing people new songs, new dances, since I dance. But I've been really goal-wise looking forward to how do I give people an Edwrds experience. We're finally getting into the part of my career where we got the big stage lights and the smoke, and I'm now playing guitar and incorporating live instruments into my set. So being a one-man band is like, how do I give my fans the coolest experience they can and the most authentic?
I see.
So
Well,
yeah.
you are doing a great job at keeping it together, especially
you.
performing and, of course, networking. And we know that that's what it's all about. Now, Ava, you live in New Jersey. You're in the city often, always networking and working really hard. Are you currently in school?
Yes, I'm homeschooled. That's what makes a lot of this possible. Because I have to run on my own schedule. Like during the week, I could have no events, and that's a school week where I'm really I could work from 7 o'clock in the morning to like 10 a.m. at night to make sure I'm on a good solid foundation. And then other weeks, it could be New York Fashion Week, and I can't work at school for that entire week. So it's really allowed me to do so much more with my career and advance myself to where I want to be than if I was in a traditional school. And I'm still getting a solid education. Like I'm still in honors classes. I'm still maintaining my good grades.
Wow.
So school is
You
very
are
important
quite
to me.
impressive because let me tell you, you are your own manager, you're your own PR agent, you're your own everything. You've reached out to us, and this is a pretty big show, individually, directly to me. There's no booking agents involved. She's like, when am I coming? I'm like, oh my God, I love you.
Yeah.
And as a mom who has a 7-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a 21-year-old that I've raised since they were little peas, I can totally appreciate the efforts that you put into networking in your career. So I said, of course you could come down to iHeart Studios. So that concludes our interview. I want to thank you so much for both coming on. Ava, you are a breath of fresh air. Edwrds, thank you so much for coming out and supporting your friend.
Yeah,
and you guys
of
were
course.
incredible.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
It was so much fun. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Guys, definitely check them out. That was our influencer segment brought to you by Navé Travel. That was the amazing Ava Breeze. Definitely check her out on the gram at Ava Breeze _. And definitely do check out the incredible Edwrds at Edwrds Aspect. But of course, Edwrds without the A. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Navé, a members-only travel portal exclusively available through Organo, offering members steep discounts on nightly or weekly hotel stays, cruises, auto rentals, excursions, and so much more. With its travel getaway portal, Navé makes the days of surfing multiple travel sites and spending hours evaluating the best deals done with. That's because with Navé, you are guaranteed the best prices. Plus, to gain access to an even more expansive collection of condos, hotels, cruises, vacation villas, fantasy getaways, and concierge service, there's Forever Weeks. Simply purchase a Navé Forever Weeks package one time and enjoy the benefits many times. With Forever Weeks, forever means forever. Not only does Navé guarantee you the best prices, but it is also one of the few travel portals that pays a referral bonus, in addition to you earning rewards points, which can be redeemed on the Travel Getaway portal for further discounted hotel room rates. Become a member today and navigate the world of travel. Navé, the world for you to experience. For more information, go to nave.travel. That's Navé, NAVE.travel.
Hi, I'm Sari Katz, your skin specialist with the beautiful segment on A Moment of Zen. Today I want to talk to you guys about a full face rejuvenation. No, I don't mean a full facelift. I mean the non-surgical approach to aging of the face using dermal fillers. So how do we age over time? Well, our bone resorbs, our fat pads in our face both shrink and descend, our tissues lose elasticity, our skin gets stretched out and loses collagen. And overall, what we experience is sagging and descent of the tissues with gravity. So how do we restore that? Well, if we look at a three-dimensional approach to the face, we look at areas that we don't normally address with dermal fillers. Traditionally, we've addressed cheeks and under eyes and folds around the mouth and of course lips. But areas often forgotten about are the temples and the hollows underneath our cheekbones in front of our ears that overall, with a lack of volume, will lead to things hanging forward and downward towards our mouth, or those dreadful areas we call jowls. So in order to manipulate the tissues to restore that volume, we'll use dermal fillers to restore the outskirts of the face first and work our way inward. This is a more three-dimensional pan-facial, what we call full rejuvenation of the face. So in doing so, we normally apply a topical numbing cream to the face and allow the numbing cream to set in for a little to take the edge off. And then we administer the fillers through what we call a cannula, which is like a needle without a point or a straw, or needles themselves, to get the gel in just the right depth and location that we're looking for it to fill. After the procedure is done, we expect a little bit of soreness, swelling, bruising, but the downtime usually only lasts about a week or so, depending on how quickly you heal. Overall, you would expect the cost to be around $3,000 to $6,000 in New York City, with an average cost of about $1,000 a syringe, maybe $800 to $1,000. And that's pretty much average for New York City or the tri-state area. But if you think about it, you're avoiding surgical intervention. So no cutting, no sewing, just a little manipulation and a little needle poke. And that is a full face rejuvenation. Now we can expect this to last about a year to 2 years, but at the 8-month mark, people like to come back in and have little bits and areas readdressed with not necessarily the full face rejuvenation, but just some tweaking. And that is how we restore and maintain, in addition to a lot of our other non-invasive procedures like lasers, fillers, microneedling, radio frequency. That is how we maintain the different aspects and layers of the face to help combat the aging process. So know before you go, but this is an option that is non-surgical, and I'm happy to keep you in the know here on A Moment of Zen. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Well, that's a wrap, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m. Or you can go to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. Also, remember that we're now live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern. We're live on YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern, and all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now available on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV streaming platform. You could go directly to mox.yourhometv.com, and remember, that's free programming to you. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thanks again to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember that happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it. We'll see you next week.